While everyone else is running like crazy trying to keep up with the clock, you figured out something simple: how to make time stop. Hitting 50 for most people is like getting trapped in a cycle of exhaustion that never seems to end. But you made a move that almost nobody has the guts to make. You decided to walk away from the game way ahead of schedule. While the people at your job are counting down the painful years until 65, you finally started enjoying today. Freedom at 50 isn't about throwing wild parties or showing off. It's just an overwhelming, incredible silence and a peace you've never felt before. The real shocker is looking back and realizing the door was unlocked the whole time. You just couldn't see it. But taking that step and actually walking out comes with a price, one that almost nobody is willing to pay. The price of being judged at the dinner table, watching friends drift away, and having everyone call you crazy. But you stayed quiet. You just let time pass to see who was actually right all along. This is what it really feels like to live today, the kind of life everyone else will only try to chase when it's already way too late. The daily grind we accept as normal is just an illusion meant to keep your mind occupied and your days predictable. Working a job until you're 65 was an idea fed to us since childhood as if it were the only safe option available. But you spotted the trap early. You trade your best years for a false sense of security and a few paychecks at the end of the month. At 30, right in the middle of endless meetings and deadlines, you started drawing up a plan that sounded like absolute insanity to your friends. Whenever they got a raise, the first thing they did was upgrade their car or buy a bigger house in the suburbs. You did the exact opposite. You bought your future time. Every single dollar you saved wasn't just money sitting in an account. It was one less day you had to answer to a boss. People made fun of your simple lifestyle. They told you that you were wasting your best years, that you weren't really living. What they couldn't wrap their heads around was that your idea of living had nothing to do with collecting credit card bills. The years flew by in that office routine, trapped under cold air conditioning and harsh white fluorescent lights. You watched colleagues sitting right next to you aged 10 years in the span of 5, completely burnt out by daily stress. Gray hairs showing up way too early, not from wisdom or maturity, but from constant pressure, targets, and sleepless nights. And then your 50th birthday arrived. There was no office party, no speech, just you hitting send on your resignation email. The physical feeling of closing the lid on that company laptop for the very last time is something you can't even put into words. The total silence in the hallway as you walked out with your things felt like the sweetest music you'd ever heard. On your very first free Monday morning, your phone alarm didn't ring at 6 to drag you out of bed. For the first time after 30 years of nonstop work, checking the time didn't give you that knot in your stomach. You sip your coffee slowly, watching the street through the window without needing to check the clock every 2 minutes. You can see drivers panicking down on the avenue, stuck in morning traffic, trapped in the exact same machine you just broke out of. Watching them doesn't make you feel superior to anyone. It just gives you a quiet, deep compassion for the people still stuck in there. But during those first few weeks, your mind tries to trick you. You wake up thinking you're late for something that doesn't even exist anymore. That weird guilt for resting in the middle of the afternoon tries to knock hard on your door during those early days. But you stop, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, from now on, your time belongs to you and nobody else. Meanwhile, the crew at your old job is still caught up in the exact same rat race, trading their health for corporate metrics. Whenever you run into one of them by chance, it's always the same question. So, what do you even do all day without a job? You just offer a gentle smile and give them the simplest answer possible: I'm just living. But to a mind trained its entire life to produce without stopping, simply existing in peace feels wrong. They push harder, trying to make the math work, asking how you pay the bills without a regular paycheck coming in every month. You don't waste time explaining spreadsheets or investments. You just tell them you learned to cut out the noise and keep what actually matters. Being rich was never about having a ton of stuff to show off to the neighbors. It was about needing very little to be your own master. While they work themselves to death Monday through Friday just to afford 2 short days off, you own every single Tuesday of the year. Without that fog of exhaustion over your head, you pick back up old hobbies you gave up in your youth and thought you'd never have time for again. Reading a book cover to cover without rushing, going for a walk with no destination, sleeping when you feel like it, and waking up naturally. Your body feels the difference fast. That chronic back pain finally disappears, your shoulders loosen up, and your brain slows down. That dead, exhausted look in your eyes gives way to an energy and focus you haven't felt since your early 20s. But let's not pretend it's all smooth sailing. Stepping outside of society's routine comes with its own tough moments. The city around you hasn't stopped. The world keeps spinning at that same fast, noisy, kinda crazy pace. Your old friends never have time to grab lunch or hang out in the middle of the week because they're always drowning in work. You have to learn to be comfortable on your own, to enjoy your own company, without letting the quiet house turn into loneliness. By the time you hit 55, the gap between your life and the lives of people your age becomes blindingly obvious. You can spot it from a mile away. Most guys in their early 50s are running on fumes, completely destroyed physically and mentally. They count down the 10 years left until official retirement like convicts serving a prison sentence. Their bodies are screaming for a break, their heads are frying, but the stack of bills waiting at home forces them to keep marching in line. You, on the other hand, are probably in the best shape of your life, healthier, calmer, and with a completely clear head. Having time gave you the luxury of cooking real food, working out without rushing, and getting a solid 8 hours of sleep. You start traveling when nobody else is on the road, during off-peak seasons, when places are empty, quiet, and cheap. You actually get to enjoy the location without being shoved around by crowds, and without that awful Sunday night dread of facing a boss tomorrow. Then 60 rolls around. Now, the distance between your everyday life and that of your old acquaintances is massive. While they spend sleepless nights, terrified of getting laid off because of their age, you've already racked up 15 years of real memories, stress-free trips, and a peace of mind that no one can take from you. Remember when you first mentioned your plan years ago, and everyone said retiring early would make your brain turn to mush? The exact opposite happened. Without work stress burning out your nervous system, your mind is sharper than ever. You use that time to pick up new skills, read the books you always wanted to, and figure out who you actually are without a job title. And then comes the year the guys you used to work with finally hit 65. Their long-awaited retirement day finally arrives. There's cheap cake in the break room and a cheesy goodbye gift. They finally get the free time they waited 40 long years to have. But here's the catch: their bodies can't really handle it anymore. The energy is gone, replaced by decades of built-up exhaustion. They finally got the time, but they lost the strength to actually enjoy it. The freedom arrived right when their health was running on empty. One evening, you meet up with the old crew for a reunion dinner at a local restaurant. Sitting at the table, their conversation circles endlessly around blood pressure meds, joint pain, meager pensions, and bitter regrets. When they look at you, they see an energy and lightness in your face that no corporate salary on earth could ever buy. Someone pulls you aside and asks, "Man, how are you doing so well after all this time?" You just offer a quiet smile and take a sip of water. There's no point trying to explain the value of giving up status 30 years ago. They chose the path everyone approved of. You chose the path that was actually good for you. The biggest flaw in the whole system isn't even making people work until they're 65. It's tricking people from a young age into believing that this is the only way to live and that there's no other choice. You went out there and proved that life doesn't have to be a grind until your body gives out. It can be a calm, easy walk where you're the one who decides when the race is over. At 65, while everyone else is just trying to figure out what to do with their free time, you've already been living in peace for 15 years, enjoying every single day without owing anyone a thing. Your days are still entirely yours. No boss blowing up your phone, no loud alarms, no useless meetings. The absolute ultimate luxury in life isn't the car you buy, it's what you don't have to sell to get your peace, your time. When night falls and the city lights turn on, you look out the window knowing you lived every single day on your own terms. The system tries to buy your time your whole life because it knows time is the one thing you can never replace. You said no to the offer and took your life back while you still had time left. Retiring at 50 was never about running away from the world. It was just waking up before everybody else. The pen to decide which of these two paths you're going to take is still in your hands today. If you genuinely want to build a life of real freedom, instead of spending your whole existence trapped in someone else's routine, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't let the daily grind make you forget what actually matters. Leave a like and drop a comment below. At what age do you plan to become the master of your own time? I'll see you in the next video.